Okay, how about now?
Yep.
All righty. Okay, everyone, my name is Zubin Gidwani. I'm the founder of Dynamic Budgets. About 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I was in the shoes of the customer. I was one foot in finance, one foot in IT. I had the fun pleasure of working with public traded companies. We had about seven financial entities, five consolidating, about seven, eight financial analysts, and they all turned to me as the corporate magician to help them create their budget templates. We had the fun exercise of creating 600 Excel files, emailing those out to the managers, and then waiting for my inbox to blow up. I'd have to copy and paste, merge all those, import them in, then run the reports, then find out that the numbers didn't make any sense, and then double back and try to figure out what went wrong. So I've been there, done that. What I'm here to introduce today is dynamic budgets. It's a budgeting, forecasting, and reporting tool. Some of our competitors will tout that their CPM solution or an XFP&A solution, uh, month-end closing utilities, consolidation utilities, etc. We are a focused budgeting, forecasting, reporting tool. Um, our main goal is to simplify the process of collecting the budgets or collecting the forecasts. We give you ample reporting capabilities such that you don't have to leave the budgeting tool to be able to run a budget to actual variance report, to drill down on your transactions, to see why you spent 40,000 last April. All of that's right there within the tool. But our main goal and purpose in life is to create the budgets and create the forecasts. At the end of the day, you can export this back into Business Central. We create a dedicated SQL database for each customer. So the customer can go ahead and direct link to it from a refreshable Excel sheets, Power BI, Tableau, any reporting tool that you have of choice. There are concerns about Business Central, about being able to report on it, the speed, the performance, and things like that. So that's why we replicate the data out and then let you run against a standard SQL database. If you look at the graphic here, what we're trying to encourage is that you're going to use the tool to do your primary budget. You're going to not just shelve the product until next year, but you're going to continue coming back throughout the months of the year and analyze your over/under situations. Why was I over under this month? Can that recover by year end? Next year, should we do something different? Now, a lot of organizations will have the finance team try to go through this exercise. You may do this on a periodic basis. Our customers like to move in the direction of doing this on a monthly basis. They take notes in the software, record those notes, and then use those notes to make better influence decisions when they go into their next forecasting or budgeting cycle. Um, we've tried to make it really easy. We've kept this kind of focused on the end user experience. We work with a lot of organizations that say, stop. Okay, you just don't understand. We have non-technical, non-financial users, and I interrupt them and I say, "Oh, you mean they're incredibly gifted at breaking Excel?" It's like, yeah, that's exactly who we're dealing with. So some of our competitors are an Excel-based solution, more pop-up windows, more ribbons to contend with in Excel. We're trying to dumb this down and keep a controlled environment such that we can roll this out to a large body of the unwashed masses with minimal training and just let them run with it. What really sets us apart? I was the frustrated customer who said it cannot take that long, cost that much, and be that painful to work with. And I set out trying to find a product on the market that would suit our needs. I couldn't find it, so I said, we'll build it. Implementation is usually about 10 to 20 hours. And what we mean by implementation is loading the chart of accounts, loading your financials, setting up the structures to make it mimic your statement of income, P&L report look and feel, adding in the reporting labels to make it feel familiar, we're going to load your payroll. You're going to copy and paste it from your data dumps from your payroll system. You're going to export it out to your employee roster out to Excel. You're going to copy and paste that over and simply paste it in. There's no complex, funky importing utility field mapping widget thing that you have to interact with. Simply line up your columns, copy and paste from Excel. We're loading payroll, setting up the financial reports, and determining which accounts you want to work with next year. And you're live with your end users typically in about 10 to 20 hours turnaround time. We've had customers go as live as little as a 1 week turnaround time. Pricing. We have a tiered price based on the size of the organization. You can follow up with Jennifer Moniz later after the presentation to get pricing. But we have an unlimited user license. We don't care if they're a designer or a read-only user, et cetera. Unlimited users. We want to encourage people to use the product. If they're not involved in budgeting, they can still use it for reporting and get involved in that budget to actual comparisons to make sure that they're staying on track throughout the year. Um, we have a lot of powerful features, allocations, complex payroll, from a salary perspective, an hourly perspective, a shift scheduling perspective with differentials for 24/7 operators and such. And really, when it comes down to the end of the day, some poor schmuck in finance, like that used to be me, is tasked with the obligation of trying to collect and aggregate and import all those templates. That whole process goes out the door. With our system, consolidation is simply a report button where you're running the report for the entire company instead of looking at one department. And I'm going to jump into the app and show this to you in a little bit. The vast majority of our customers are coming off of Excel or perhaps a more cumbersome or more costly budgeting tool, something that they were oversold. They realize year one, year two is just the time that is involved in just trying to set up and roll forward their last budget in a more complex software package. They accomplish that in our system in a couple of button clicks. But the vast majority of our customers are coming off of Excel. If we have partners on the line today, I want to encourage you to reach out to your customers and ask them what they're doing for budgeting. A lot of the customers don't complain about budgeting. They just put their heads down and just do it. It's typically could be a 2 to 3 month process for them to conduct in Excel. The problem with Excel is multiple versions. I put together a slide. This is not uncommon for me to try to figure out which one of these is the right version of the file that I'm supposed to process. Oh, well, I sent you the one date stamp 10/15/2025. Is that your latest one? Oh, well, what's the difference between V1 and V2? Oh, I forgot to send you the one that's marked final, final. Okay. If some of you might be chuckling because this sounds way too familiar. But all that kind of concept of multiple physical files and whether or not they sent that to you and who's got it, that goes out the door with a system-based approach for budgeting software. Um, I'll walk you through the software, show you some version controls, talk a little bit about error-prone formulas. It's comical what you see in Excel. Lack of real-time collaboration, problem with too many moving pieces, limited audit trails in Excel, and then the scalability and performance issues. So just going to kind of talk you through and walk you through some of these pieces, and I'm going to jump into the software for you. So Dynamic Budgets is a Windows client. We're not a web-based application. That's not uncommon for our customers to want to run a system-wide report and see 50 to 100,000 accounts on screen, not want to have to worry about going page by page, tabbing through the reports. They can come in here and run a report for just one department. So I looked at just my admin department over here, and I'd run a report, and I've got 132 lines on here. If I wanted to look at this and run this for my entire company, I could have run the company-wide report and seeing all my accounts here on screen. A lot of our customers will use something like this and set up a starting point of their budget that is budget to actuals. I'm just going to turn off my camera here, Amy, just to kind of prioritize the bandwidth for the screen. And hopefully you can still see my screen. Okay, so if we wanted to see where we're at company-wide, I could come up here and turn on some formatting and look at my company P&L. I could drop this down, consolidate this down to my top level account categories. If I needed to look at this from a departmental perspective, I could look at departments, each one of my departments, drill into it, look at my locations, drill into it, get into my account categories, go down to my eventual categories. If I wanted to be specific, come back in here and look at just my department 300. I could do something like this. I could go in and work my budget and itemize my budget. So this could have been a data input cell here, or ideally what we'd like them to do is drop it into an account. I could search for my rent, drop in over here, and then drill into an account and itemize my budget request for next year. Now, when you're working with a system like this, customers, end users are going to ask, well, how much did I spend last year? Why did I spend 6,000 last July? They could click in there and see the transaction details coming right through. When you're done with your budget, we'd like you to come back in and run your variance analysis throughout the month. You can come or throughout the months of the year, come back in here, look at your expenses, double click on a particular variance and compare full year budget to um, the actual transactions for the month. Come back in here and drop in a comment. Why were you over under for the month? How is this going to impact you the rest of the year? Next year, should I do something differently? If you've done something like that, the next time you go to budget the account, this note, I'd anticipated leasing floor two, but that got delayed due to the agreement, XYZ. Those comments are sitting right here at the bottom of the screen, waiting for the end user to help them make a better, more informed decision next cycle, whether that's your forecast or your upcoming budget. So I want to talk to you a little bit about versioning and controls. Some packages offer the end users to create multiple different scenarios and multiple different versions right here on screen. We do not. We want the finance team to be in control of versions. Now, some of our customers will do a subtle twist. They'll say, let's do something like a budget level. This is a required item right here that you could have user-defined fields on screen. So this might be a required item. This might be an optional item. This might be a wish list item. Show me a report and filter my report by everybody's baseline assumptions in their budget versus their stretch wish list goals. Can we include the wish list items, yes or no? Um, the end users are typically, if you don't want them creating multiple versions, because then you're back to the Excel problem of which named file, which version am I supposed to include from them? If you want to draw a line in the sand and say this is the end of version one, now we're going to create a version two, a optimistic version of the plan or a pessimistic version of the plan. We have a utility in here that you can simply come in here and say duplicate the original budget. So let's grab my BC budget. I'm going to grab the 2025 budget and I'm going to create 2025 budget V2. And as simple as that, we hit the duplicate button and I've made a duplicate of that. Then I could duplicate my payroll. I might have custom worksheets and different modules in here. We can mix and match and create those as quickly and easily as that. Um, the Some of the issues that we run into with standard-based budgeting is just kind of the visibility, the audit trails. If I go back into one of my accounts, right here at the bottom of the screen, we can hit the view save history. And if your manager doesn't like what you're proposing this week, and he says you need to roll that back to what you showed me 2 weeks ago, you're scratching your head. It's like, I don't remember what I did yesterday, let alone 2 weeks ago. Well, the system's got your back. You can just scroll down here, look at your individual line items, and then copy and paste those values back up into the screen here. So view audit history is right there at their fingertips. We have a much more robust audit trail system throughout all of our different modules where the administrators can come in here and roll back to different versions of the different modules and different pieces of info in the system. Lack of real-time collaboration. It's challenging in Excel to kind of keep track of what was going on. If we come back over here in our administrative dashboard, End users can mark the accounts as submitted in process. It won't be using this season, etc. When an approver comes in, we don't have to do a complex workflow. It's a passive workflow system. They can simply come in here and say, you know what, I need to look at everything that's been submitted, but not yet approved. I'm going to go through and look at those. As they're going through and looking at these, they can come in here and drop in a comment. Please reduce the revenue forecast for this product by 15%. The end user could have come back and said, you know what, we've got baseline contracts supporting this. It's good as is. They can have those types of conversations in here rather than a stream conscious flow of like a Slack channel on the side of your application. We're making these comments specific to the exact account, so you can have a conversation there at the account level. If they need to attach supporting details, they can upload documents and things like that to support their budget requests. Got a couple more minutes here. I want to go back and talk a little bit about reporting. What we have here is primary data collection, contextual reporting, keeping it relevant to the end users, keeping it relatively simplified to interface. We've minimized the calculations for the end users so they can't have a long enough rope to hang themselves with. If we want to do first row times second row equals third row, we can do simple calculations in line where we can do these calculations in line. We have a spreading function in here where I could say I need $60,000 and I could spread this across a monthly basis and have it evenly spread, what I call a peanut butter spread. But I can also come back in here and spread this based upon the history of the account. So if I want to look at back of how we spent it in a prior year, I could have done it in a similar in that fashion just by choosing a spread method. When we do want to do fancier reporting, we can work with Power BI or Tableau or things like that. The same data hose we use to feed the core application can be pointed to external budgeting tool or reporting tools. You could have the financial metrics. You could have the telemetry usage of who's touching which module, who's logged in, who hasn't logged in, your hall of shame, your wall of fame. I kind of highlight who's been touching the application and how active are users. When you want to worry about percentage completions, you might be able to create a visualization, something like this, to look at that workflow data in a different manner. If I want to look at all my accounts that are still in process, but the ones that we've marked as please revise, what happens to be my allocated supplies? Let's go back in and fix that account. I can go on and on and on. I want to point out that if you have questions, please contact Jennifer Muniz in our sales team. She'll be more than happy to assist you, set you up with a demo of the software. Would like to hear from you and hear what are your pain points. What are you struggling with your budgets? In a deep dive demo, we're more than happy to talk about the life cycle of our customers, what they experience in the onboarding experience, what's usually like in year 3 or 4, what we might want to do for cleanup with the system after 10 years on the system. We have a lot of customers that have now been using the platform for 10 to 15 years. They go through acquiring companies, revising their charts of accounts, changing fiscal calendars, retirements and retraining. A lot of interesting things that we've dealt with over the years, and more than happy to discuss our support and how we maintain the system and how you can grow with the system. Thanks very much for your time today.